Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm a new Tesla owner, bringing you the best consumer advice. We're on a journey to find out how many parts you can take off of your Tesla before your Tesla gets mad and realizes you're taking parts off its Tesla, with the whole end goal being to turn my Tesla into a different car. In last episode, we took off the front doors, the rear doors, and the trunk without the Tesla caring at all. In today's episode, we're gonna unbolt every other thing that has a bolt. Stay tuned! Before we get down to work, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Skillshare. I myself am a self-taught learner. Everything that you've seen me do on cars over the last 7 years, I've taught myself. And having great resources is the key to making that happen. And Skillshare is a great resource for learning. You probably know Skillshare for their classes in things like photography and video editing and illustration, but did you know that Skillshare has hundreds of career-focused classes too? So whether you're working on improving your current career path or maybe you're thinking about making the switch to a different career path, Skillshare is a great resource. I have a few very separate goals that I'm working on. I got some career goals and some creative goals, and Skillshare is helping me out a ton. On the career side of things, I'm working on productivity and time management, trying to help learn how we can schedule things better, which I'm sure you guys will appreciate, and how we can become more efficient, get builds done faster. On the creative side of things, you guys know I've been working on 3D modeling for a long time. I'm getting pretty good at modeling the vehicles I want to build, but rendering them out to look like photorealistic versions is really a masterful skill. But this class right here has got me super amped. I've been working my way through it, and I think it's really gonna improve my rendering skills. I love Skillshare. I think it's an amazing resource, and I think you guys will too. And they're offering the first 1,000 of you guys that click the link in my description your first month of Skillshare free. So it's a link at the top of the description. Go hit it, go check it out. Huge thanks to Skillshare for sponsoring this episode. Let's get back to it. If you guys remember from the last episode, we are on the journey to making this car mad. Now, we did reinstall the doors, pump it full of smoke, and then bust the rear window out, but it's still not that mad. Took the doors back off, and we're going back into the front here. I have a feeling these sensors there's one there, one there, one there. These, I don't know if they have to do with the Autopilot or if it's just for close-in things like LiDAR or whatever else that they may use to just tell for obstacle avoidance, like parking aids. One or the other, we're about to find out. I'm gonna take the front bumper off of our Model 3. Here we go. We've got the front bumper off. If you guys are doing this back at home, you need to take your bumper off for any reason, maybe wrapping your car or anything like that. Turn the wheel in. Flathead screwdriver takes the pop clips out of here. There's one nut on the bottom of here on the inside that you can reach, and I just basically pin this back to reach all these. There's 3 inside here. 3 nuts you want to take off. Actually, they're bolts. They look like that. 3 bolts you want to take off from in there. Up here, 10 mils. Zip off those 10 mils. And on the bottom, there's a bunch of these little plastic push rivets. Take all those off and it'll allow the front bumper to come off. So front bumper is off. We can see there's not an overwhelming amount of technology in here. It has its own wiring harness, which is really cool. It all comes back to a pigtail right here. You have the sensors that look like that, placed sporadically around the bumper, and they all come back to this harness. So now that it's unplugged, let's see what the car thinks. Here we are with our list of warnings and stuff. Everything's really relating right now to everything that we had before. Traction control issues, no issue on this car. What we don't have is anything. I got a little green attention icon down here, and it said lane departure avoidance disabled. So that, I think, has to do with removing that front bumper, and if we get those sensors back in there, I think that's something that we could get back. I think it has to do with that, but I'm tapping it and it just won't really do anything. But it was that little green guy right there. I can't get it to come back up, but I think that's what happened when we did that. So that's our first little bit of loss of functionality. Let's see how bad it gets as we continue through the rest of the car. I'm gonna go ahead and go after the fender now and see if I can get this fender out. It has a camera on it right here. I have a hunch that this camera is only used for the backup assistance, and it won't care, but let's find out. Hold up. Okay, this is crazy. I've never had something like this happen. I was taking the fender off and the headlight just fell off. So, I mean, basically what that tells us is the headlight shares a lot of the same bolts that the fender does to attach to the car. That's fine. That's normal. This headlight within it has a lot of stuff. High beam, low beam, turn signal. Normally, a headlight wiring harness has at least like 8 or 9 different wires. This entire, and some heavy gauge wires as well. This entire headlight has 3 tiny little gauge wires. That is all that goes into that headlight that cranks enough power to do high beams so you can see at night and stuff like that. So that is the most high-tech headlight I've ran into in all my days of working on cars. It's using high voltage electrical wizardry and obviously using LEDs. Now what that tells me is as I go into modifying this car to be the next car, there is no chance in hell I'm going to be able to decode the different signals coming out of these 3 wires that control things like blinker, high beam, low beam, headlight, ballast adjustment. Like these headlights adjust, they go up and down. As the car goes up and down, they probably turn left and right as you steer as well. I would expect they do. They're fully adjustable headlights, so all that stuff is coming through here, obviously in some type of encoded data, as well as the power is coming through here and going into here. So for my body swap project, what this means is that I'm gonna have to utilize the things inside this light at their base, or at least utilize the circuit boards. Gonna have to dissect this light, reverse engineer it, and pretty much use everything that it has in one way or another if I want this car to act like a normal car while driving around and just, hit the blinker and have a blinker without, reinventing the wheel. I could always just hijack the blinker signal and then run my own power and do my own blinker, but that's more work. So we're just gonna have to retrofit whatever headlights we're gonna use with the workings of one of these headlights, which will be a really fun project. But I'm blown away by the fact that it's only 3 little wires. That's pretty crazy. Okay, I'm only a couple bolts off of this fender coming off. Let's see if I can finish it up. Fender is off. Here's the little camera unit right here. Now, I do plan on integrating this into the new body, so not a big deal if it throws a fit, but let's see, with the headlight being gone, I think it's gonna be mad about the headlight. I don't think it's gonna be mad about this. Let's check it out. No new alerts. I can tell you though, it's not that it doesn't know that the headlight's gone, I believe it's just that it doesn't care. So let's see what happens when I put it into reverse for our backup camera. Yeah, and this one's just dark and it's like spinning. But that's it. I'll plug it back in and it's gonna be fine. There we go. Lane departure avoidance feature unavailable. Features may be stored next drive. That was the warning I was trying to tell you about earlier. So got that to pop up on the screen. Anyways, not much. Although it's highly unexpected that the car is gonna act like this, it's a good thing. This is all good stuff, that it's not freaking out about some of these, things being in the wrong position or things being unplugged. Let me tell you about what I plan on reintegrating into the new body. Bumper sensors like these are really easy. Sorry, it's so dark. We're really battling with the lighting until we get new lighting here. But you can see the painting's coming along great. But anyways, bumper sensors like these are really easy to reintegrate. You pretty much just drill a hole and then glue them back in from the back. Now, they won't be in all the exact same spots, but I don't think with a bumper sensor like that the car even cares. So those will get reintegrated into the build. Headlight will get reintegrated in the build for the reasons that we stated earlier. And it clearly doesn't care where these backup cameras are. I think that the Autopilot is run, well, so let me finish my statement. It doesn't care where these are, I don't think. So on the Fender of whatever new build, I'm pretty sure I could hide this somewhere, because having that backup assistance is great for everyday driving. And that's the goal. The whole reason I want to build a really fast EV is to have a super fast car that I can drive every day. I think that getting to the Autopilot stuff, I think a lot of it comes off of this camera right here, the same on the other side, and the camera's right here. I think that's where a lot of it comes from. Although don't quote me on that because I don't know anything, and we will find out. People in the comments are saying that we can even move those and recalibrate the car and potentially get that. This car does have the $15,000 Autopilot package, so if that's true, we will do it. And the next car, when this thing is rebodied, this whole thing is kind of rebuilt, I'll have Autopilot. I promise you that, if it's possible. But if you ask me to bet on it right now, I don't think it's possible. But I'll try. I promise I'll try my best. So I got a little bit of work left to do here. I got to get the passenger side fender and headlight off. driver's side headlight and fender is off. I'm gonna stick around the front here and keep fiddling with things and just taking off miscellaneous things. I think there's quite a few different things in here that we don't need, like the fender liners, and I'm thinking maybe this plastic deal right here, and maybe some more stuff over here closer to the windshield. So I'm just gonna fiddle for a while and just start pulling stuff off, and I'll show you everything that I managed to get loose. Got this thing pretty well stripped down. Windshield wipers, the cowl, all that stuff is gone. Fender liners are gone. Plastic core support type of thing was gone, and I was able to substitute it with some of the aluminum off of this ankle destroyer. I have no idea why that's in a vehicle. Never seen one of those in a vehicle, but ouch. And yeah, it's looking pretty good, pretty torn down. Still got this guy to go. I'm gonna wait till I get the car up in the air to take that all the way off, but I want to get that off before we go for a test drive. Next up, I'm going to jump all the way over to the back here and take this rear bumper off. To do that, I got to take the rear taillights out as well, so do both of those in one swoop. Got the taillight off, and I saw something on here that was just so weird, I gotta take a second out to talk about it. So, taillight, when it comes out, push clips on the outside pieces, that's not too uncommon. Bolts on the inside, not too uncommon. Again, 3 wire setup, so probably some serious smarts in there. But here's the weird part. When it goes on, they just have this exterior hand twisted, well, it looks just like this. It seems like the biggest afterthought engineering-wise, they must have been like, well, this thing's not staying down. I mean, it actually doesn't look like it wants to stay down. So then they just did this hand-screwed-on plastic nut thing to be the final piece of the installation. It's obviously sticks out and is ugly. I thought it was for something fancy, and just, you know, that's the cool thing about designing an electric car. When you're one of the first manufacturers, you can just put weird stuff everywhere and people will just think, oh, it's there because it's an electric car. That's what I thought. Nope, just a really weird, really stupid way to attach your taillights. Got the rear bumper off. If anybody's doing this at home, there's a bolt up here that you got to do. There's a hex bolt. Don't know why they switched it up, or it's a Torx bolt, sorry. Right here. A bunch in the under tray you got to take out, like about 6 in the under tray that you need to take out, and some pop clips in the bottom on both sides of the wheels, and then you could pop it out. Found something that's kind of interesting. I bet some of you guys in the comments could let me know what this guy is. This looks like ground, power, pretty heavy gauge wire, and most likely, you know, usually a signal wire going to a harness here that is terminated. So it's probably for a feature that my model of car doesn't have. Be curious to know what that is. Maybe I could potentially tap into this as a source for other power if I need it, if I knew what it was and when it might be activated and stuff by the vehicle. Don't know what this module is either. It's gonna move. I'm gonna go ahead and just tidy up around here, taking off all of these bumper brackets that are no longer needed. I'll just get all those out of the way, and then I'll bundle this out of the way as well. Got the back all cleared up. Let's go see what the car thinks. At this point, I'm really not thinking that the car is gonna get frustrated, but it is important to check at every step. Interesting, I took off the frunk latch and sensor, and now it's saying the frunk is open, which that is an issue, because when I go into drive here, it's going to say close the frunk before driving or ignore and continue. So those are the types of things I really want to avoid, and that's just because I took the latch mechanism out of there. So let's fix it. Okay, so what I do with this is I obviously find the plug, and then I use this guy. Oscar, you know what these things are called? Like, it's a power probe? It's a power probe. Oscar introduced me to these things like last year. When you're tinkering with cars and hacking with different things, it's very, very helpful. I'll see if any of our sponsors have these for sale in their stores, but it can you could send power with it by hitting this button. That's sending power. You can send ground, and you can measure different wires. So I was able to tell that one's power, that one's power, that one's ground. And then we started diving into it a little bit further, and I was looking at the switch that it plugs into. It's right here, and this switch does multiple things at once when it's depressed and when it's let go. And because of that, I can't simply hardwire this thing shut. So if we didn't want to have this in the long term in our next build, I would probably just take this little sensor, it's just this little piece of plastic right here. I would unbolt it, I'd plug it into this, and I would like close this. That's honestly what I would do, because there's a lot of smarts in here sending variable resistance and square wave signals through this, and it's just really not worth the mess of taking it on yourself. You could just have this little sensor hanging out in your car telling it it's always closed. But I do want to have this in my next build, so I'm going to just take the entire thing and I'm just going to plug it in and zip tie it to here and move on, because it's not really worth wasting the time, since this is functionality that I would like to maintain, or sorry, retain, moving forward. Okay, now that we're all wrapped up, computer's happy again, I'm gonna go ahead and take this little plastic front splitter off. I guarantee this would drag from too much air resistance, so I'll pop that guy off and then we can start working our way into the interior. Got the front end all tidied up, got the skid plate section out of there. It is interesting how just a completely, random piece of plastic underneath there that's a little bit lower down makes the car look more aggressive. You remove it and it looks more dorky, but it all looks pretty dorky now that there's no front end at all. Anyways, moving on back into the interior, we're gonna start gutting the seats. I'm gonna leave the driver's seat in there. It's half broken. It doesn't slide forward or backwards, but it does tilt back and forth. This one doesn't tilt at all. I'm gonna start in the back seats though, because I think I'm gonna actually have to cut that seat out, which is gonna damage it, but there's really no other way that seat's coming out. But I'm gonna start in the back seats. Worth keeping in mind if you're doing any of this at home, there's access to high voltage wires under here, under the back seats, so be careful. Back seat is out. That's pretty simple to do. I've seen a lot of people giving tips online too. If you want extra storage, you just reach your hand right in here. See this little switch right here? Just push it. Always push it towards the driver's side, because they use the same switch here and there, so it's not like push away from you on both sides. They're reusing switches on this car, which is actually pretty efficient. I really don't mind it. So anyways, push towards the driver's seat, and that undoes the back. There's a little clip right here with a little wiring harness that goes into the seat. Take that off on both sides, and then you can take your seat out, and that allows those guys to fold all the way flat back down. So it can gain you a little bit more space. Speaking of getting some more space, I think it's time that we cut this passenger seat out. Zane got the seat out without cutting it out. Pretty brilliant idea. The motor was seized, so they went ahead and unbolted the motor and got that all out of there, and then used a power drill to actuate it back and forth so they could unbolt it. We got a few little remnants hanging on here. These go up into the B-pillar here and need to come out. So we're gonna do one more removal. We wanted to unbolt everything that could be unbolted. That is as far as we have gone. But let's go a little bit further and unglue what can be glued and re-glued, meaning windshield, first roof, second roof. We really do not want to break these upon removal because they're very valuable. Pretty cool pieces of glass. So there'll be a little bit of pulling from interior trim pieces here and there, and then, which we do not care about the interior trim because that's worth nothing pretty much. And then we're gonna cut all of this glass out. Check it out, the glass is gone. Rear glass, mid glass, windshield glass, all gone. With only one slight casualty. The windshield would not come out without a fight. And we won the fight, but the windshield's broken. Windshield houses some of, I believe, the most important Autopilot tech. Let me show you around that. And there's a mystery right here in the midsection that hopefully some of you Tesla aficionados can tell us what the heck it is. So this is the pile of stuff that goes in the box near the rearview mirror. This camera right here points towards you as the driver. You can see there's a little pinhole right there. That goes to the driver. This blue connection, that is GPS. It's actually printed on the tag that it's a GPS unit. And then you have a triple camera array right here, fiber optic cables leading to each of them. This is making me a little bit worried about trying to maintain Autopilot. I know a lot of you guys said it's possible. I seriously hope it is, but this is a set screw to do the adjustment on the tilt of this. You can see how it's marked and it's calibrated. Boy, oh boy, is it gonna be hard to get that set back at 100% right. Those are the types of fine tuning that I'm thinking makes it impossible to carry over Autopilot once you do a body swap. But we will try, we definitely will try. There's also a PCB, there's a little board that is on the windshield that we're working on harvesting out, and it plugs into some of these plugs there. Now, moving on to these guys, also have fiber optic cables running into them. They're plastic little, let me get a better view. Plastic little boxes with a fiber optic here and a fiber optic here, and there's two of them. And this is in the mid beam, so you got like, that's the top of the windshield. Oh, it's really hard to steer the camera like this. That's the top of the windshield, and this is like right, say, in the middle of the car. And they are a mystery to us, but I bet they're very important for the Autopilot. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna tidy it up a little bit. We're gonna pull some moldings off, some trim off, the seat belted things, move the seat back, just kind of pull a bunch of garbage out of the car, off the car, and then we will fire it up with everything plugged back in, but not in the right spot intentionally. We're just gonna rest that stuff on the dash over there and see what the car says. All right, we got the car completely gutted out, all the tools out of it and everything. It is looking sparse. Every wire is labeled, very important for this project. Let's hop in. My Tesla tech friend let me know that it is not gonna really complain about the Autopilot until we get it on the highway and try and use Autopilot, so something worth noting. Down twice quickly, let's see what it does. Cruise control disabled. It's not having it, probably because we're not driving anywhere. It ain't having it. So much lighter in the convertible version. Well, right about now, I would usually go do our 0 to 60 test to make sure everything's happy, but we've got a lot of rain happening right now, and we just cut the roof off this car. And you know what they say? Flood me once, shame on you. Flood me twice, can't be flooded again. So that is round 2 of how much stuff can you cut off your Tesla without making it mad. So far, I'm pretty convinced it will drive fast still. So everything, you can literally unbolt everything and the car will still go real fast. I think the first thing that we're gonna need to actually hack in the system is it is bugging us about the passenger side safety restraint now that we removed the seat belt. So we can hotwire that, it's just a 2-wire hotwire. Other than that, we're still in as good a shape as when we started. In the next episode, we are going to be cutting this entire structure, this entire body off. The whole roof comes off, rear quarter panels come off, everything gets cut off, and we will be moving these and mocking these up. We'll take it for a test drive and see what the Autopilot system thinks, and we're also gonna see how much faster it is without a body. I timed it 0 to 60 before we took everything off, and we'll show you in the next episode how much faster it is with all that weight removed. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe.